Yes, I was walking in a forest in Switzerland and my phone was ringing constantly. I was ordered by the doctor to step out of the business and look for my health, prioritize my health, in order not to risk to run into a full burnout. So I was kind of close to a burnout, but not there. And I felt this, and that's why I looked for a specialist to talk with me. And the solution was easy: step out of the business, take your time, look for your health, your body, your mind. But my business was constantly calling, and my employees were in crisis mode. And I had an inner conflict. Do I prioritize my health, or do I help my business to not crash, basically? And that moment I realized I actually didn't build a business for myself. I built a high demanding job. I was trapped, and my health was going downwards, or I wasn't healthy as much as I was when I started. And I realized this is not sustainable, and I have to change. I knew it's the right thing, but I felt very, very kind of pressured. I didn't want to disconnect, obviously, because I built something for several years and I can't just leave it. And I don't want to have to crash it, because I spent a lot of time, a lot of money, and I wanted to make this successful. And I realized I built a business where I was thinking that I was the indispensable person in that business. So I was building everything around me. Every decision had to go through me. Every key client was connected with me, because I thought that's really the trust the client have. And I just realized I built an indispensable business, or I built myself in an indispensable position, and that's wrong. That's not sustainable, and I wouldn't basically survive it if I continue this way.
When you look back, what made you believe that you had to be involved?
When I look back, I believed that I had to be the key person in the business. I had to be involved in everything, because that's just good leadership, and it's my business, and I want to be involved in every key decision, and I want to be the person talking to my clients, because it's just what I have built up. But that belief was actually wrong, as it turned out, because I did hire great people. I did create systems. I did think about how to get new clients without me being involved entirely, but still everywhere I was a bit involved. And I realized that I didn't use my employees to the degree they could be used, and I somehow didn't allow them to live to the full potential. And by realizing this and starting to think, how could I leverage my great employees better, I actually released potential, and everything started to unfold in a positive way, because they took ownership and they had more, at the end, more fun to do what they were doing.
Was there a specific moment that you felt
I mean, the moment when I felt I was indispensable was when I realized the business doesn't work without me, when I was stepping out because of this health issue and my people started to panic. And that's when I realized I'm actually indispensable. And I didn't want it to be, right? But I just thought this is the right way of doing business and being the leader and driving things.
What was the first thing in your personal life that started to break?
The first thing that breaks in your life when you're indispensable or just so much involved in that company, you actually can't live your own relationships anymore, and you don't look after yourself. You don't do enough sports or walks or just having time, spending time with friends and family, and that starts to become very critical. And it's actually the moment when you realize, because you are the bottleneck in that business, that's a very high cost of not being able to meet with your family, or not looking after yourself, not prioritizing other areas in your life. And that cost is just too big. to be honest. When I tried to achieve both, to save the business and save myself, it was almost impossible to solve this issue or to find a solution for this, because it's either or, and I think that's the wrong setup. And being the bottleneck in the business, and then because of this, not living a life that you actually should, and thinking it's either or, that's just wrong. So I think for me the solution was to create a business that works without me to a large extent, so I can live my life, continue my life, and still have a good business and a good job in my business. I think the lie we tell ourselves of letting go, or the risk of letting go, are that we believe no one else can do it the way we do, that our employees wouldn't do it as good as we, and that they don't take the decisions as well, they don't talk to the clients as well, and it's just not possible to have that quality without us. And obviously clients would do, or obviously my employees would do things better or different. Let's say it this way, they would do things different, not worse, not better, but just different. And I think that's what we have to accept. And only then you can actually build something with a lot of people involved and delegate at the end to your employees. But the big lie is really that we believe things don't go as well if we delegate it to someone else. Yes, I mean, when I had to delegate because I had to step out, and I realized people were starting to coordinate themselves. They were talking with each other, trying to find the best solution in a very positive way, because they didn't want to have the business crash either, because they like to work there and be part of that growing business. So they actually started to manage and showed that they were capable of doing it, which I never didn't believe, but I just didn't allow them. And that's the strange thing. You hire great people, and then you don't allow them to work the full extent. And that's the line. I realized when I realized that I didn't build a business but just a job, that it is not transferable. It's something I have to be there all the time, and not being transferable in terms of my role but also the entire business means I don't have optionality for the future, for anything. Because I'm so much involved, and having a business that is not transferable or just relying on myself as the key person doesn't give me freedom. It actually locks me up. And having freedom at the end to do whatever I do best, be it in business or be it in personal life, and just have everything balanced, is having this optionality and having a business that gives you these options. Then that only works if the business is transferable. That was my big realization. So you actually need to build a business from day one that is transferable to have all these options in life. That was the biggest part. So when I realized that the company doesn't crash when I'm stepping out, I'm not there for a few days, it was actually for me at the freedom moment. It was for me the realization of this works without me. And yes, obviously some things didn't work as well, and we could improve, but it didn't crash. And I think that was an amazing moment to realize this transferability and that this company can run without me being involved 100%. I think most funders don't realize that the business doesn't need them everywhere, and that by delegating certain functions to great employees, that they actually have a stronger business. because everyone involved feels more responsible and obviously wants to help to grow that business. And that gives you more people being super involved, more people thinking about how to grow the business, make it better. That gives you a much stronger, more independent company and makes it future-proof for any crisis, for any big changes, for any clients that will leave and so on. So for all these possible future events, the company is in a better situation and more resilient.
What's an example of a decision?
For instance, they can decide whether we take a new client or not, or also buying things within the budget. So there's a lot of things that are just possible without me being there, obviously. So the company is running on systems and structure. So what I realized that if I want my employees to work more independent, I came up with a little framework for myself where I said these things need to be defined, trained, talked about. So, because also great people like structure if they work for a company, and so I came up with a very simple framework and executed on these 4 pillars to make sure the company becomes more independent from me. So one thing I realized is what I put into this first pillar, knowledge. That's the most important thing, obviously, that everything in my head gets written down and gets transferred to my employees. Because without this, I don't allow anyone to do their job and operate without asking me. So that's the first pillar for me, the first step to make sure I'm not needed in everything, in every daily business aspect. Yeah, when I realized that I had to give client relationships to someone else. In the beginning, it was a lot of, for me, it was quite difficult. There was a lot of thoughts and even stress on how this could turn out. But I knew without giving that function to someone else and allowing other people, it's just not working again. I had a good employee that was really keen on doing these things and already did some parts on the client side, and that made me easily at the end transfer it because I had this great employee, and it was the right decision to give away. I think all these relationships that they don't run through me, not just clients, also like partner relationships, for instance, or any vendors, and also. I think the big step was that I also had to learn, or I also had to explain clients that they don't need to talk with me all the time to get a great service because I have great people and they already talk with them. And that took, from some clients that took a bit, but at the end they were all satisfied. And if something really escalated, and I was involved at the end, but that's not daily business. Yes, the first client that was fully handed over to my team and I wasn't involved anymore was a very long and old client for us, and he trusted our company greatly. So the good thing was we knew he would probably accept it, and so we tested it with him, and it turned out well. He fully understood. He was he was a business owner himself, and he fully understood that. Can't run for me. But obviously he would, if he has the possibility, he will always talk to me. But he fully understood it's not possible all the time, and yeah, so he liked it the way we set it up, and the service wasn't any worse. It was, I think, the same or even better. Deciding when to step in or not, that's, I think, the biggest mind shift that I had to go through. Because if I let my people work and trust that they can do it, my role is actually build the strategy, build the structure so they can execute on their strength and on their job. And I think that's really the biggest part on all these 4 pillars that I created is, for myself, create the mind shift that I start to work as a different job or in a different position in that company. So I create strategies, I create frameworks, solutions, processes, whatever needed, that others can actually execute and work better to serve our clients better. And that's really a mental shift. It's not about working less, it's just about working different in your company. And it's more working on the company instead of in the company. And that's a huge mind shift needed. But once I've done this, it turned out to be the best thing I've ever done, because everything becomes naturally, because I'm the one that owns the business, has the strategic ideas, and I can guide and I can see that others can execute. So that was a super important step, let's say. Yeah, I realized that I need to be the architect and not the firefighter after a few weeks that I couldn't step in because I was ordered to do less in my business, and I also wanted to prioritize my health. And not everything fell apart. So my people started to organize themselves and find the best solutions. And me then moving slowly into this role to help them execute better gave me this realization. And that was really the moment when I saw that this is actually working. And I just had to trust myself that I can actually let go and others can.